Yo, 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 yo. Yo, 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 as Jeremy Anderson is the first to arrive on our YouTube channel. Welcome to the Tigers Medical Report Podcast, week 2 of the recap, as we recap the entire week around the minor league system. Our host name is Chris Brown and Trevor Hooth, who is if there was like a third or fifth Beatle, I think Trevor would be part of that whole thing. So he'd be part of the, what is it, the Holy Trinidad or the Triant, or I don't like when they talk about Rush. Yeah, Holy Trinity. Yes.
Yeah.
It is on Easter. I'm not trying to be sacrilegious or anything. How ironic I mentioned that, but just a couple of programming notes to pass along. So the Woodward Tigers YouTube channel is up. So that podcast is its own separate thing. The minor league podcast will stay on our YouTube channel. And thanks for everybody who's been subscribing. We picked up quite a bit. So we have been doing recaps. We've been doing starts, and sooner or later we'll do some hitters as well, including probably at some point Gage Workman. And our top 10 plays of the week will be out next week. So there's a lot of moving parts with that. But so every Sunday night, there'll be a top 10. In addition to the podcast, there'll be a top 10 plays of the week. We'll put it on YouTube and add that element to that too as well. So that being said, Trevor, how are you doing?
I am doing great. We got to see Jackson Jobe today. So it was a good day. I guess it's Easter too, but I mean, for Jackson, it's honestly, it was so fun to watch him. And the Tigers minor league is fun right now. Oh, in a way that it hasn't been. And I'm sure we'll dive into that more, but it's a lot of fun.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, something we talked about a lot coming into the season, where I was skeptical that we'd have people as excited this year now that Torkelson and Green would be heading up to the majors about the Tigers minor league. But yeah, you know what? People are finding a lot more things to get excited about, from Parker Meadows to Wilmer Flores to Gage Workman to Jackson Jobe, and it's been fun to see what's going on with all these dudes.
It's okay to be excited about Jackson Jobe, and there was some strange stuff on Twitter about that. I mean, there was somebody that said, I don't know, I'm not going to say who the name was, but I thought it was pretty messed up when they're saying, oh, that spin rate, that means early Tommy John surgery. What is wrong with you? Seriously, what is wrong with you?
You know what means early Tommy John surgery? Pitching.
Yeah.
There's everything that pitchers do is going to lead to injuries. Every pitcher gets injured. Everyone.
I just feel like there's an overwhelming idea that baseball players don't get hurt, and sometimes they do, and sometimes they can come back and then still play baseball.
Yeah. Justin Verlander, I thought was just about the most biggest workhorse starter we were going to see ever, right? Got hurt eventually when he was 38, 37. Came back the other night and was absolutely dominant. He came back because he's really good. So it happens. Guys can get through it. Not every injury is the same. Sometimes it's a Franklin Perez situation where there's 30 injuries in a row. But yeah, I mean, none of us want Jackson Jobe to get injured. Hopefully he doesn't ever have a serious injury, but it happens to any guy, and it doesn't matter. I mean, I think the main thing that causes injury is throwing hard. That's the number one thing. And, everybody throws hard now. If you throw less than 95, you kind of suck.
And look, I mean, if James Chipman, who isn't on social media, sends a text that said, I like Jobe's outing, I'm going to go with what James Chipman said, because he's gone to over 1,000 games. He knows his stuff. It's too much of a sample size, but I don't know why people are obsessed with trying to be right about prospect in April 17th. It is not June of 2024. I do not have all of my gray hair in. Chris is not in a spaceship somewhere, because I feel like the future is always some sort of spaceship. Calm down. Okay? Calm down. If you're right about it, great. If you're not, enough with this Twitter bonus crap. I need to do a parade and blah, blah, blah. Hence highlight. Hello, by the way, on YouTube. Just stop. Knock it off. All right? Knock it off. I'm seriously. Just knock it off. And it's just, I want to swear really bad, but I'm not going to, because it's a family show. But good God. Just, these people are human. You don't think these guys see this online? Oh, he's going to get, or like somebody was ripping on Wilmer Flores. He's not going to have enough stamina. How do you know? He might be a reliever. Congratulations. If he's a good reliever, why do you care? Why do you care so much to go after somebody? It's a kid, for Christ's sake. And this is a system for the first time in years shows some sort of life. And they're like, nope. Screw you. Blah, 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 blah. I want this. I want that. We're not the Atlanta Braves. We're not the LA Dodgers. We're the Detroit. We follow the Detroit Tigers. This is a baseball team that's been inept at developing prospects. Now they are. They're developing something. Look at what we've been seeing that we have not seen before. Chris is just as cynical as I am. Trevor, you are the same way. You're not as, hey, but you're not like a happy-go-lucky guy about this stuff. You watch other systems. The reason why I brought you on is because you watch other systems a lot more than Chris and I do. So your perspective is unique. You can say stuff. You can say things like, well, they still have a little ways to go. And they do. They still haven't developed the eternal positional player talent outside of Spencer Torkelson. But a shortstop or a second baseman? No. Third baseman, same thing. But enough. Let it. The process works out. If Joe becomes a bust, he's a bust. And then you can go, remember the time you went on the rant, Rogelio, you look like an idiot? So, and I'm not perfect. No one is. All right, I feel better. Thank you.
It was one inning of Jackson Jobe today. I don't know how anybody's making any sort of assumptions about anything. I came in looking at one thing, and that was, is the unicorn stuff that Jackson Jobe is known for still the unicorn stuff that Jackson Jobe is known for? And the answer is emphatically yes. He has the wild slider that broke the StatCast calling it a curveball. His fastball was 2,500 RPMs with, some decent vertical break. It was between 14 and 17, I think, were the numbers, but that's amazing. He was touching 97 with the fastball. Like, that's why he was the third overall pick. I know that people wanted Meyer, whatever. That's why he was the third overall pick. He had this stuff. That's the stuff that the Tigers are coveting right now. If you look around the system, I always look to that minor league Rule 5 draft that just happened and who they brought in. They brought in guys who have the exact same data platform as what Jackson Jobe has. They let go a guy who people think could be really good because he doesn't match that. This is what the Tigers wanted. This is why Jackson Jobe was picked, and he had the unicorn stuff today. That's good. The command will come when maybe it's not his first professional outing. I said this to you guys. I've said it on Twitter. He threw 95 in high school. I don't think he had to try that hard to command things. He just could blast it by people, and then if you needed to, throw that amazing slider, and no one was going to touch it. Professional hitters are a little bit better than high school hitters. I was successful against high school hitters, and I threw 72. If you're throwing 95, I think you're a little bit on a completely different level. So, I love what Jobe did today. He did everything that I wanted him to do, everything we all should have wanted him to do. He showed that he still has that amazing stuff that makes him Jackson Jobe. The rest of it will come when maybe he doesn't just have one whole inning. Just my 2 cents there.
And Troy, by the way, Troy Trolls, who's on YouTube, yes, Spencer Torkelson is a dude, and we're 100% sport Torkelson, Team Torkelson over here. Well, not team, but anyway, you get what I'm saying. But Chris, before we move on, you can say, because I know I've said a lot, so sorry. I'm not sorry at all, but I'm sorry that I cut you off, Chris. That's my apologies.
I don't remember even what I was talking about. I was gonna save this for the Lakeland segment, but what the hell? I mean, this is probably what people want to hear and want to talk about. So, yeah, I'm with Trevor here. Basically, the only thing that disappoints me was that we only got one inning of Jackson Jobe, and while I completely understand that, remember last year, Roger, we went and saw. I feel like we saw Clayton Beater about 6 times. Every time he pitched one inning last year. The Dodgers.
It was equivalency of what, 3 innings, it seemed like, right?
I think he's topped at 3 innings this year. So, and the Dodgers know what they're doing. I think the Tigers are working this. They want Jackson Jobe to pitch into September. They don't want him to. They'd rather him build up slowly and then go deep in the game later in the year if he can, than go deep in the games early in his career and then shut down for however many months. So I think that makes sense. I think it made sense for them. They're going to build them up slowly. So today was like, hey, here's what you're going to do to get ready for professional start. You get ready, you get amped up, you get out there, you throw your pitches, and you sit down. Next time he goes out, it's probably going to be 2 innings. They're going to get him that feeling of going out and completing an inning, sitting down, waiting 15 minutes, and going back out there. And then it'll continue from there. I don't know what he's going to top out at this year, maybe 75 pitches, 80 pitches in an outing. kid gloves. They spent what, $6.5 million, $7 million on them. But the stuff was there before the show. It was major league stuff, like really good major league stuff. He threw all 4 pitches, by the way. I think I think he threw some curveballs in there. I don't know if that was just maybe that gas being broken, but he definitely threw some changeup. He started. I want to say he started with like 2 sliders and a changeup in his first professional outing. Like, and this is a dude with a 95 to 97 mile an hour fastball. Yeah, the defense behind him. I'm sure it helped that it was his buddy Isaac Pacheco who keeps screwing up on defense. I'm sure he's going to give him a world of hell for that. Like, thanks a lot, dude. Thanks a lot. But yeah, and honestly, like I wondered if catcher Daenerys De La Cruz ever actually caught him before, because he dropped like 3 or 4 balls and seemed to have no idea where the slider was going. Like, it was absolutely fooling him. The team around him didn't help that much, but it was major league stuff. It was high school command. He's going to have to work on that. And that's the sort of thing that comes with time. And they betting on the athleticism and the delivery to think that he will be able to develop at least major league average command. And if he does, that's a frontline starter. I mean, you have to be able to learn how to pitch and put everything together and learn how to sequence and all that good stuff. He's going to, Dallas Braden said he's going to have to start slider off in the dugout and to throw strikes. I will tell you this, and this is kind of sacrilegious because this dude, I think, was pitching in the majors when he was about 5 months older than Jackie Job is right now. But the sweep on his slider kind of reminds me of Jose Fernandez. You remember he used to just throw these things that would break like 3 feet across the zone. I remember Price used to get so upset. He called it a high school breaking ball because Jose Fernandez would throw it at the hitter and it would break in front of them and go off the plate and they couldn't hit it. And yeah, I mean, I just think he's got to learn how to command that a little bit better, but the stuff is there. And you just, get him some work. And I think he's going to be just fine. And maybe he won't be a top 100 prospect at the end of this year if he goes out and throws 45 innings, has like a 5 ERA or whatever. But I'm not worried about that. Get him the innings, get him ready, and then I think next year is probably go time for him.
By the way, we did get a suggestion by Troy Trolls who wants Roki Sasaki on the Tigers.
I think everybody wants him on their team.
Yeah.
With 17 consecutive perfect innings, is that right?
Yeah, is he the one with that really good splitter, right? Like just that ridiculous.
He also throws 100. Yeah.
Yeah. So is 17 perfect innings good? Is that?
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I think it was 18.
Yeah. Yeah, but let's get into the system that was. We'll start with AAA Toledo. It was a strange week for Toledo in a sense because they had a game canceled today. So there's no Mud Hens baseball. There was no Tigers baseball. And so, but they're out in Iowa, and I'm going to start with Tuesday a little bit. And Michael Padea's tune-up start did not go well. By the way, the Cubs are filled with a couple or not, I want to say exactly filled, but they have a couple ex-Tigers down there. Dixon Machado playing short. John Hicks, who was the DH for the Cubs. But outside of that, in terms of pitching, Padea, 3 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and a homer. And then Alex Powers has not looked well. He's been getting lit up too. And then Peralta did pitch a clean inning, and he was called up on Saturday along with Willie Castro. The Tigers have had a couple injuries to the roster, but as far as the offense goes, I don't know. I'll start with you, Chris. It seemed like it was a quiet week for the Mud Hens in general. There wasn't, we're expecting something from Ryan Kreidler or something along those lines. It was a tight game on Wednesday as Iowa won 3-2. And we had Drew Carlton blow a save, but Chase Anderson, who did not look well in spring, 4 innings, he did pretty well. He had solid. Same thing with Ricardo Pinto, who you talked about a few times, Chris.
Yeah, he had, I don't know if he gave up some runs today or I know he had a decent outing early in the week, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Toledo is, I think as it should be, the AAA team is the least interesting in the system right now. There are like a handful of guys in the 40-man, of course, but it's, at this point, it's like Willie Castro, Zach Short. These guys are kind of, emergency call-ups, and fortunately the Tigers need them right now. Yeah, the Ryan Kreidler didn't do much. It almost feels like they're kind of pitching around him. I think he walked like 5 or 6 times this week. And Cody Clemens is the only other guy down there who's really that interesting on offense, I think. And he had kind of a pedestrian week too. Yeah, they just didn't. the weather out in Iowa was garbage. That's why they lost the game today. Like they lost, they didn't play it. So I don't put too much into all that. It just the offense wasn't really clicking when we saw them either. I don't think in the first week of the season. So it might just take some time for them. Hopefully, when the weather gets warmer, they'll hit a few more bombs and get some more contributions from the veterans like Jake Robson and Josh Lester. But I mean, the big thing down there to me, you mentioned Pineda. He actually was okay for 3 innings, and then 4th inning, like single grand slam, and he was out of there. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how he works out this year. I'm a little skeptical that he's going to pitch very well. But after that, we went and Paul Brisky, and we actually had a question about that, and we could talk to Trevor about it too, because Trevor was a little skeptical of Joey Wentz, as a lot of people were. But we've seen this year, we saw it in spring training, and it's continued in the first couple outings. Joey Wentz's fastball, at least for the first inning or two, is sitting 94 to 95, which makes him kind of interesting.
Yeah, it really does. Seriously, I'm probably Joey Wentz's biggest critic. I've always have been. I don't mean to be. I always want the best for players, and I love being wrong because usually that means they're good. They're really good players. But I mean, Wentz to me, especially when he was throwing 93, he just always seemed like a relief arm. I kind of saw him on a let's call it a Kyle Funkhauser type path where we're like starter, no reliever, and that's I still don't necessarily think that's a unrealistic thing to think happened, but he's touched 97 a couple times. He's more 93 to 95, 96. That is really interesting. I actually just filed a piece this morning over at Bless You Boys. It'll probably hopefully come out in the next day or two. His fastball is actually really good in a way that I didn't realize. If you look at the data profile of it, it's above average spin. It's plus IVB, plus induced vertical break. So that means it plays really well to the top of the zone. And he comes down, he's got a really high release on, so it's a really steep plane. And that just really helps it to get whiffs up at the top of the zone. And when you look at that and then you add miles an hour, that's a good thing. I'm not going to say adding miles an hour is ever a bad thing, but when you add it all together and you add a few miles an hour, it's really good. And so it comes down to command, I think, on it. And it comes, and with everything else, obviously, of his, but it comes down to the command and how he uses it and all that stuff, optimizing the usage of it. But it's a lot more interesting now. And I dive farther into that in the piece. Hopefully it comes out soon. But I think that raises his ceiling for me from absolute reliever to maybe a rotation spot starter type guy because of that extra velo. Because obviously, if you get the velo on the fastball, you probably got a few extra bumps elsewhere. And what it really does when it comes down to it, this is going to be annoyingly simple. Joey Wentz didn't have a go-to whiff pitch. In my mind, at least. I mean, you guys might disagree. His changeup was the closest thing he had.
Mm-hmm.
But with the extra ticks on the fastball, with the data backing it up, that becomes more of a whiff pitch. So you're looking at a pitch that goes from probably average just because of data, fringe average if it wasn't so good data-wise, to above average plus if he uses it right, which makes the rest of his arsenal better. I mean, it could, I should say, play a big role. And I'm very interested in that. I mean, you're already seeing, obviously, he's given up 6 runs in 6 innings, but he has 11 strikeouts, which is a cool 15K per 9. So, that's always good.
Yeah, I mean, he struck out 7 in his last outing in Iowa, though the 3 home runs. The only thing I'm going to ask you guys both this question, as far as sequencing goes, it's just really a matter of that, of just kind of figure out what works, because every time it just seems like the fastball gets elevated quite a bit, and that's where he gets smacked around.
Well, it was very much a Matt Boyd outing to me. It's like, 3 hits, they were all home runs, 7 strikeouts. It kind of, I clipped that one together, and again, it was a cold day. It was a cold day, and he just really couldn't command any of his pitches, particularly the curveball, which is like a kind of a loopy, slow 70, 78 mile an hour pitch, and he just kept leaving that above the zone. And it was like, I want to say like 40% of his changeup kind of just got palmed right into the dirt. But yeah, he was throwing the fastball right by guys. And I remember, I want to say 2-3 years ago, Fangraphs did an article about kind of the infamous invisible, those fastballs from lefties come up from the certain angle and have the spin that just miss bats. And this was, I think, probably even before anybody was using stuff like IVB. And he was one of the people they named along with Scooble as a guy, but he wasn't throwing that hard. I mean, he had touched 95 in the past, but this is as hard as he's ever thrown consistently in his career, which absolutely makes him interesting. Like I said, I've always been kind of hopeful that he could develop it to like a back of the rotation starter, but I do like that Kyle Funkhauser comp as a guy who it's pretty easy, like 95, 96. When you look at him, it doesn't look like he's trying very hard. So you wonder in a one inning stint out of the bullpen if he can go even higher than that. And then he's got the decent changeup that might play up better. It's I'd say it's probably above average at best these days, but yeah, plays a little bit. One thing I didn't see, I know he's thrown a slider in the past. I didn't see any in his most recent start, so I don't know what that was about. But yeah, I don't know. I worry about the command, and I worry about he hasn't really shown the pitch efficiency yet. I think he threw 70 pitches in his second outing and couldn't get out of the fourth inning. So yeah, he's an interesting arm, but I don't think. I thought, when Mize went down, I was like, Wentz is on the same schedule as Mize. Maybe they'll call him up, but I don't think if you're trying to get innings out of somebody, I don't think he's the guy you call right now.
Yeah, and there was a question about who to bring up. It came up on Twitter about who would come up next, and that was the reason why I mentioned that is because the next day Bo Brisky started, and he pitched 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. An interesting number to me though is he threw 70 pitches, 44 for them are strikes. So it kind of felt like maybe in terms of I don't want to say labor a little bit, but I know that Wentz is on the 40-man, Brisky is not, so there would be some issues with that all happening. But I don't know. As far as Bo Brisky is concerned, I'll go with you first, Trevor. As far as the secondaries go, is there enough right now that he should get a call up, or does he still need a little time in Toledo to get his secondaries figured out?
I think he needs time. Admittedly, I've only watched parts of one of his starts. I don't watch AAA a lot. Let's throw that out there right now. But in what I saw, I think his curveball has a lot of potential. I mean, it looks a little loopy, but it looks less loopy than it did last year. Maybe that's just camera angle. But
no, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, his stuff looks good. His changeup looks great. His fastball looks good. It just is. I think he could use more time. I think even if he didn't, he would probably get it just by the simple fact that Joey Wentz is on the 40-man and Bo Brisky is not. And that's kind of huge because the team's not going to make a move and risk losing a guy out of the organization when they don't have to. So especially with all the injuries, I think they would probably give Wentz the chance first or maybe try extending Elvin out. I don't know. But they'd move from the 40-man first is my whole point. Maybe they would try Harold Castro on the mound again. Who knows? But I think that Brisky will need more time. It's just a matter of getting it all together. He reminds me a lot because anytime I hear someone talk about him, say they've talked to him, he has very specific things he wants to work on. And that reminds me a lot of when people would talk about Tarek Skubal, because Skubal was always like, I got to talk to him in between massive breakout year and COVID. And he was talking about, I really want to get my curveball shape better because his curveball and his slider at that time would kind of bleed into each other. He comes back next year, his curveball shape's better. Brisky comes back, I want to work on this. Well, look at his curveball now. So it's really, he works on very specific things and he's successful at it. And I think that's the next step is it's just figuring out how to use all of his pitches. I think all the pitches are there for him to be a starter. I'm very high. I think he could be. Well, I said it before the year. I don't think I believe it anymore. I thought he could be the second best pitcher in the Tigers system, and then Ty Madden started doing Ty Madden things. But I think he's up there as one of the better pitchers in the system right now. I very much believe in Brisky in a way I didn't a year ago. Honestly, I thought he was just organizational fodder, and he's really I've changed my tune on that quite a bit. So long answer, rambling answer that I just gave. Yes, he probably needs more time in Toledo, but I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the questions we got was from Johnny Pat in the Hat, that if Mize or Manning miss extended time this year, you think the most likely internal candidate to come up with Brisky. And again, Trevor, you touched on that. It probably would be Wentz just because the 40-man implications, or Alvin Rodriguez or Ronnie Garcia. They're going to stick until they have to put a guy in the
Alex
40-man.
Faedo.
Yeah, Alex Faedo, who was pitched a couple times. I thought Wentz looked great. There was another start I clipped. I clipped both of his first start when he gave up 5 runs, I think, in this last one. And what stands out in both times, he does not get rattled at all. He didn't seem upset at all about giving up home runs in his last start. He's like, well, look at that. That's not supposed to happen. Oh, well. And he just kept throwing strikes. He throws a ton of strikes. He actually got called. I don't know if it counts that in the box score. He got the first time I'd seen this happen where he got 2 automatic balls called against him for not pitching quickly enough. The first, the very start of the game, he got a ball. He started off 1-0 against Dixon Machado because he didn't throw a pitch fast enough, I guess. And then later in the game, it was 3-1 against Machado, and they called him for a ball, and Machado got a free walk. Like, what?
There's been a learning curve. Just watching around the league, there has been a huge learning curve with that pitch clock because they had it for the first week or so. They started calling it like yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's 18 seconds, I think, when nobody's on base. Or no, I'm sorry, it's 14 seconds when nobody's on base, 18 when people are on base. Yeah. And that is messy. It got Brisky a couple times too, and it's gotten a lot of people. I've seen several people get walked because of that rule. I saw it the other way too. Actually, I saw a batter get a strike on him because he wasn't in the box when the clock expired.
Yeah, so it'll take a little bit of time, but no, I mean Brisky, he was doing what he does, man. He was like 92 to 94, touching 95, locating the fastball inside, locating it up, change up. He loves that change up, and I kind of do too. It seems like anytime he got behind 2-0, he threw the change up, and every time the batter would swing at it and do nothing with it. And I'm like, you don't want to get into that obvious of a pattern, but if you're that comfortable with that pitch, and it's a great pitch to throw 2-0 because batter's almost always going to be looking fastball. I do worry a bit about his breaking balls. The slider's like 84, 85, and it's just kind of short. I wish it had a little bit more horizontal movement. I worry that it might not be terribly effective against right-handers. And then the curveball, which he has been working in more, is like you said, it's kind of a slower, kind of drop it into the top of the strike zone. But he's learning how to pitch with it better, and I think he's using it properly. But he's got the starter's arsenal. He's got the starters, command and control. I think maybe not fully, major league command yet, but I think he probably would be the best internal option right now for them if they needed somebody to take innings and give them, I don't know, decent 4.5, 5.5 ERA, something like that, just to survive. It wouldn't shock me if you gave Brisky 15 starts and Michael Pineda 15 starts if Brisky did better. But I don't know. Maybe we'll see that play out later this year.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I was just gonna say there would be surprise me. I think Brisky needs a little more time. There is your point about the changeup, Chris, is well stated because we talked about that in the Brisky breakdown last year, and West Michigan and Erie, the breakdown that he was able to get away with it quite a bit, but on a major league level, that's not going to happen. And it's just with the injuries to Matt Manning, there's some concerns going on, and what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks? It's an infirmary right now with the Tigers pitching staff, but that's the big league club. But we continue on the rest of the week for Erie. Excuse me, my dog, by the way, took over the podcast. Wanted to jump on, literally jumped off the chair. But so we continue on the rest of the weekend. Like I said, Saturday's game was an extra inning affair, and I always feel like these games are. I was looking at some of the times. Like this was actually, you know what's funny though? For a 10-inning game, it was 2 hours and 51 minutes.
I think JJ Cooper had an article about. I want to say that the pitch clock cut games by 30 minutes on average, something like that. So
yeah, and by the way, there's a couple new faces in Toledo. By the way, the Law, Derek Law. Derek Law was signed, and wait, Chris. Never mind. I'll have to. That's the story for off air. And then Jamie Westbrook was traded for cash considerations, and there was another guy in there too who was actually in Vegas when the whole shootings happened and was protected people from getting shot.
Bubba Derby.
Thank you, Bubba Derby.
I don't know if he's pitched yet.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. It was just the other day he was invited to a camp and then they signed him. He was with Milwaukee. He's a former Milwaukee Brewers prospect. I use prospect loosely. I think he was always borderline top 30 in a system that wasn't that great, but it's still such an amazing story.
Jeremy.
Look, it's fine. He's just got a gummy smile. It happens to people. We were sharing pictures of John Elway. We can't all be handsome. I'm sure his parents.
We can't all look like Rogelio, guys.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's got the suave hair there, but
I mean, the one cool thing that Jamie Westbrook dude, he's got a funky stance, by the way. Like he holds his bat way low. It's weird, but he did hit a game-tying home run in one of those games, which was kind of cool. It was the first game with Toledo, and ninth inning hits a game-tying home run, and they went on to win. I think on like 3 or 4 wild pitches. It was just a wild pitch parade. So, yeah, good for Toledo. That was their one win of the week.
Yeah, and by the way, Westbrook literally sprinted around the plate, the home plate when he hit the home run. It was kind of astonishing to see that. But
I was able to troll one of my good basketball friends by saying Detroit traded for Westbrook. He's like, "What?" I'm like, look at this.
Dude, Jeremy's having a field day over here.
Yeah.
Said he's got a great personality. He's probably a funny guy. Is that what you're going with here?
Yeah, is he going with like what you tell somebody when you don't want to date them anymore? Like, you're really nice, but it's not me. It's not you. It's me. And
I think we'd be really good as friends.
Yeah, and by the way, he made a Recess reference, and so that show is a little bit before my time, but I know a couple of people that watch it. That's what he's referring to. That's what he looks like. That Derek Law looks like that guy. All right, that's mean and that's uncalled for. But just to provide some context from the YouTube channel,
he's perfectly normal looking dude. He just has a gummy smile.
And he can pitch in the minor leagues. I can't. So there you go. Mm-hmm. But so let's continue on to Erie as the Seawolves took on the Somerset. And Trevor, real quick on this, is this a loaded Somerset team based with the Yankee prospects?
It is. I mean, they have Anthony Volpe, obviously, who has been very not amazing this year. Although, of course, he hit a double and, a walk against the Erie yesterday. But they had Ken Waldachuk pitching, who's one of the better pitching prospects. They had Randy Vasquez today, who did not do well, but he's usually one of the better pitching prospects. I wouldn't say it's loaded. Elijah Dunham is another notable name. He was a really big AFL standout, and he's hit a home run or two in the series. So it's not as loaded as Akron, but then again, who is?
Yeah. So the pitching that Akron, you were mentioning that it was ridiculous. And so as far as Erie is concerned, we did get a question about one player in mind and from Glass Joe on Twitter, and that's Dane Myers, who we'll talk about a little bit later. But he had a nice big day, 3 for 4 on the first day, as he hit a double. His hits from extra base power. The former Rice pitcher, which is a long-standing joke with Chris and I about Rice pitchers, they work out better as hitters apparently at this point. But they start off with a loss 2-1, and I'll start with you, Chris. In terms of the Erie offense this year, we knew it was going to be a struggle a little bit with not having the bats there, but they've been paid. I mean, to come out 4-5 after 2 of the toughest teams in Double-A, I gotta say I'm impressed.
Yeah, I mean, they've been figuring out how to get it done, but the pitching's been pretty strong. Garrett Hill has been great in sort of 2 shorter outings, but yeah, I mean, just watching those games, it's just nothing but strikeouts, man. Like, we know that that's kind of where the game is trending, but this is kind of unsustainable. They have through 9 games, they have 124 strikeouts, which is almost 14 a game. And that's 18 more than the next worst team in the Eastern League right now. They're just whiffing like crazy. Now, some of that is coming with some production too. Like Nate Workman started the season 1 for 15 with 9 strikeouts. I think we saw on opening day he went 0 for 4 with 14 strikeouts. It was a little bit iffy, but his last 5 games he went 7 for 19 with 3 doubles, a homer. And he went 8 for 8 on steals. He just turned into Ricky Henderson this week for some reason. I don't know exactly if it's, if I'm not sure who's catching there. Is it Siegler in Double-A or is he still in High A? But yeah, he went wild there. So that was kind of fun, but he still struck out 7 times. I'm just grateful for Andre Lipsius, who only went 4 for 16, but he did hit a homer and he walked 9 times against 5 strikeouts. He's the only one down there who seems to have any discipline. It's the first couple of weeks of the season and I don't want to make too big of a deal of it, but I am mildly concerned that Dylan Dingler kind of looks a lot like he did the second half of last year. He went like, what was it, 3 for 19 this week with 10 strikeouts, no walks. Let me see. 4 for 24 with 2 doubles, a triple, but no walks and 10 strikeouts. And then, like Eric De La Rosa is just, I think he just might be overmatched at Double-A. He went, let's see, 1 for 15 with 11 strikeouts, 3 for 15 with 11 strikeouts. So just everybody swinging and missing like crazy down there, and it's kind of hard to watch. But like you said, they figured out a way to keep it alive and win some games.
I mean, I spent, while you were talking, I was listening and I was clicking through the box scores on the year. Mm-hmm. There were 2 pitchers who I didn't know what their first name was just by looking at the box score that they faced. I mean, seriously, mm-hmm. Even when it comes down, I mean, just in the summer set, they faced Luis Medina, Johnny Brito, Ken Waldachuk. I won't count Randy Vasquez, even though I want to. I love Vasquez. He just was awful today. He walked like 4, didn't strike anybody out. It was bad. And then you go back to Akron, and it's Daniel Espino and Xavier Curry in relief of Daniel Espino and Tanner Burns and and Logan Allen. It's like these guys should be striking everybody out. I'm not saying that it's good that Erie's not hitting that well, but like these dudes are legitimate dudes. Usually you can sprinkle in some, depth arms in Double-A or something. But you're not. You're getting guys who are going to strike out 9 dudes a game and move on. Like it's kind of tough to judge what Erie's offense is right now, I think, just because of that. I think Dingler's been looking pretty good. He's been looking good defensively. It seems like he's still hitting. I mean, he's still getting some extra base hits. He's still, doing all that off these good arms. Workman is doing a lot better than I thought he would. I know I had him low in my personal top prospects because of his hit tool, but I think you're seeing flashes of what this offense could be if they had a minute to breathe. And I know that when you're in the majors, you don't have a minute to breathe, but they're in Double-A. You know what I mean? So
I mean, there's 2 ways to look at it. Like, I mean, these are the sort of arms that if they want to play the bigs, these are the sort of arms that we're gonna have to learn to face. So it's it might not be the best sign, but like you said, this is not. They might not be quite ready for this. And getting a week against Double-A arms might help them get some confidence, which is always a big thing. So, and also it's the beginning of the year. We don't want to make too much of it. We've seen people struggle like crazy at the beginning of last year. So, not everybody spent the Torkelson, but we won't make too much of it now. It just is a lot of strikeouts. It's like, man, look at those strikeouts. Woo!
Oh man, look at those strikeouts, man.
Yeah, but Reese Olson, his second outing wasn't quite as good as his first. I didn't get a chance to watch that one though. I don't know if you guys saw it.
Yeah, I saw probably like 2 innings worth. It just looked command looked a little off. But I mean, I did like Adam Wolf's start on Wednesday. Erie won 2-0. It was a zip on that, and the I think there was 2. I mean, they struck out 16 batters, and that was pretty impressive considering that the one Gerson Moreno, by the way, 2 innings, 6 strikeouts, no walks. The key thing is no walks because that's been always his issue, and he came out firing bullets there. But I thought Adam Wolf, who made his first start in Erie, was his first start, right? Wednesday was his first start in Erie.
Yep, it was.
I thought he handled the adversity pretty well. So that's encouraging, whether he's a guy or not, regardless.
Remember, I described him as kind of like a poor man's Tyler Alexander. He's just like his best pitch is a cutter, and he's a lefty who's going to come after guys. I don't know if he quite has the moxie of Alexander, but I don't know. He's a fun guy to watch because he does. Remember, he started, felt like toward the end of last year, he was going like 3-4 no-hit innings in every outing. So I don't know. It doesn't look like there's anything there, but you never know with guys like that.
And by the way, for Hill's start, by the way, that was the most runs they scored for the week. It was 9-2, and Myers again 3 for 5 that day. And let's just start with Dane Myers, gentlemen, because I know we got a question about that, and somebody else earlier in the week asked about that. But I'll start with you, Trevor, in terms of Dane Myers. He looks comfortable at first base. He stole a base today too, I think. He stole a base earlier today, which for the big dude. But any thoughts about Dane Myers at all? Is he organizational fodder? Is he just going to be another job, or I would say just another org guy?
Well,
I know I'm putting on
he's
spot.
Got
my bad then.
No, it's hard. You know what I mean? Especially because he's still kind of new to hitting. You said he's a pitcher at Rice. I want to say as of right now, I see him more as an org guy. Obviously, things change very quickly. He walked 2 times today. I was planning to come on here and talk about how he hasn't walked yet this year and how his walk rates were low in any extended look he's gotten, which they were. It was, I mean, I looked it up. It was 3.8% in 104 plate appearances last year in AA, which is the most plate appearances he's had. And his strikeout rates are really high. I mean, it was 26 and 32 this year, swinging and missing a lot. So as of right now, I think he's just an ore guy. I like his swing. He's got some quickness to it. But I haven't looked too far into him yet, but if he keeps performing like this, I absolutely am going to have to and probably change my tune a little bit. But as of right now, I think he's worth monitoring, but I don't see him making an impact anywhere.
Well, yeah, I mean, we kind of have to view him like the way that the organization seems to treat him, which is as an org guy. But it is a remarkable story, even hitting in AA, considering what you said. He was a two-way player at Rice. Tigers drafted him as a pitcher, hoping that, because I think he was mostly doing relief. He may have started a little bit for the Rice, the Owls there. But yeah, it just didn't happen for him as a pitcher. I want to say I went and saw him a couple times in West Michigan, and he was like 87 to 91 with like a sinker, and that was basically a decent breaking ball. And he was okay in low A, but I think he put up like a 6.5 ERA in high A, and then just kind of switched to hitting. And then he only got a handful of at-bats that year in 2019, and then 2020 was, nothing. So last year, I mean, he hit his way up to AA, and I want to say he hit almost 300 in 45 games with some decent power. And he's hitting 300 right now through 9 games with power. And it's like, I don't know. It really, like Trevor said, ask again later. I would be hesitant to say he's a little like a legit dude, but if we're talking 3 months from now and he's got 20 home runs in AA and he's still hitting 300, I don't know, get him up to AAA, see if he can do it there, and if he can do it there, then get him up to the majors. Stranger things have happened. Evan Gaddis was custodian.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on my call. I'm an elementary school counselor. Got my arm ready to go.
I still have to, like I said, when I did the pitch last week for opening day, you commented that was better than your kick. I don't know, man. Your kick is still, your kick is legendary on that. So that's definitely in terms of athletic feat by
that was so embarrassing. And you know what? It was Jason Hansen standing right there, legendary Lions kicker. I looked at him like, "Do you have any advice?" He goes, "Have fun." I'm like, "Great, that's not going to help." And I just ran up in jeans and tried to kick it.
No, but
was that a lefty kick or right-footed kick?
Oh, lefty kick, absolutely.
Oh,
gotcha.
So, by the way, Jeremy in the YouTube chat is worried about Derek Hill not having a hit. I'm not worried about it.
Not even a little.
Nope. He'll.
Oh, the whole point of doing a rehab stint down there is just to face live pitching for a couple of days and get back in the routine of playing. And
look, if he can hit
all that stuff,
if he can hit up here, that would help the Tigers' offense. Anemic has been the offense. I said like Yoda said almost. The offense has been very inanimate or just weak from an offensive standpoint from the outfield. So, with
anything you get from Derek Hill offensively is a bonus. Technically, you want him mostly for his defense and speed, and if he's gonna, provide some run support, that's awesome.
Also, who's had a really good week, by the way. I mentioned this before we go to West Michigan, which a lot has happened to West Michigan this week. Is Carrie Carpenter, who had an RBI single earlier today. He had 3 hits on Friday, and he continues to be, again, whatever the status is, but it's good to see Carrie Carpenter pick up the slack with an offense that, like we said earlier, has some shortcomings to it, but he's been a steady presence for him all season long so far. So that's good to see. And as far as before we get out of here about Erie Saturday's game, there was actually something about Brendon White too.
Oh yeah.
Somebody asked us
about his velocity.
Yeah.
And I didn't see him pitch. When we saw him pitch in West Michigan last year, it was like 90 to 93 with his bread and butter is that slider that has it's like a 3,000 RPM slider too. But that was as a starter. So I don't know. I would think as a reliever, maybe he's a little bit higher. So to keep an eye on. But I was watching one game and they tried to bring him in and then they had to take him out immediately. And I don't know, like the announcers were like, was he not on the roster card or something? And that was all they could figure that he was in the game illegally. So I think he's only pitched once.
I just want to say one thing on Carrie Carpenter real quick. He could surpass all expectations, make the majors, have a Hall of Fame career, and I think his career is already peaked in AA, even if all of that happens. Because he hit a home run off Daniel Espino.
Yes, he did.
Which is the
Workman
fact
did too,
that
right?
anybody can put a bat on a Daniel Espino fastball in general or a slider, whatever he throws, is amazing. So I'm just going to say that. I just want to say that.
Am I mistaken? Did Workman hit one off of him too, or was Workman against somebody else?
I think Workman was against somebody else, or he had a double or something.
Yeah.
I think Carpenter was the only home run off of Espino.
And as far as the Moreno, this is another example of the Jekyll and Hyde thing. Finished good the other day, and on Saturday, 3 walks, and just could not be allowed a home run. So that's the kind of thing until Moreno is consistent, you'll get from him. So moving to West Michigan. Now, Lakeland Lakeland's going to take a minute too, because we actually have video from Lakeland, and it was a lot of good video this week. A lot of good video. So thank you to Ray Eaton for broadcasting your games. Although the video quality, but then again, I'm not going to complain. It's
still one of the best streams in all of MILB TV. I'm going to tell you that right now. I know.
I agree.
You said I watch a ton of other. I do. I watch a ton of others because I have to for Prospects Live, which I appreciate you inviting me on. It raises my Tigers cred. I really would love to be known as a Tigers person, but I also can't stop watching National Prospects. But it is one of the best feeds that there is. I mean, seriously, it lags a little bit sometimes, and you can start to see some weird stuff happening. But in terms of angle, it's got velo. The broadcast quality, I mean, it switches to the outfield real quick on a hit. Like, you can see what's going on. That is so much better than what you get on a lot of stuff. I remember one feed I was watching. This was 2 years ago, but I remember one feed I was watching. A runner was stealing second, and I'm like, I'm trying to see this guy's speed. Like, show me something. And when it went to cut, it showed the catcher throw the ball, and then it cut to a dog in the stands because it was dog day.
Yeah,
like, what happened?
They have
there are some that are really rough.
Yeah,
there are a couple that are really. There are a couple in what the Midwest League that I really like, but I couldn't. I don't know if it's Akron but whatever. Yeah, I mean it's nice to have a broadcast on there at all, and for that one to be the camera angle. I love the view from behind, to see the pitchers. You get a good straight on look at the movement of pitches and stuff like that. It's just every now and then it's has LSD flashbacks.
and I don't know if Lakeland plays St. Lucie, but St. Lucie has a stream now too, and it's okay. It lags a lot right now, but it's still really new. But it's got a good angle on the pitcher and everything. So hopefully, if they play in St. Lucie, they have all that figured out.
They go to Bradenton again later this year, so we theoretically get 3 looks at that Lakeland squad. But we're talking about West Michigan, are we?
Yes, we are. And by the way, I will be going. I booked my flight. I'm going to be heading down to Lakeland June 1st.
What airport are you flying into?
Orlando.
All right.
Book the trip, Chris.
I don't know exactly where. I have to look into it.
Do it.
I don't have any of the details. I need to add some other details. But
and what's the card number you use to book the flights?
I'll give you the details.
I did look it up. Workman did hit his home run off Espino. The Workman
did he?
He did? Wow. They got 2 hits that game, and I think they were both home runs. And it was like 10, 11 strikeouts. But
here's another fun fact, Chris. Here's another fun fact. Do it. Just do it. Do it.
Yeah, get it done.
Do it. Get it done. No. So go ahead, Chris.
I was just saying that the big story coming out of West Michigan this week seemed to be Parker Meadows. Really, I mean there were some other. He cooled off in the last couple of games, but yeah, it seemed like every day it was like oh, wait a minute. And we were out there on Tuesday. We were out there for opening day, which was fun. Beautiful weather it was like 68 degrees. And then the game went 11 innings. One of the wildest finishes I've ever seen in person.
That was the longest day. Yeah.
Yeah. It was 5-4 from the 3rd inning on until the 9th inning. And we're like, all right, let's close this out. And then nope, Lansing tied it. And they both score 1 run in the 10th. And then Lansing scores 4 runs in the 11th. So we're like, okay, we can wrap this one up. We're heading home. And no, West Michigan scored 5 times and won. So
West Michigan.
That was with Cater Montero, the starter, went out after 2 batters in the 2nd inning. Got hit by a line drive on the foot, and that was it.
West Michigan is really being affected by those new rules. If you watch them, I mean, those new rules, there's the bigger bases, there's the pitch clock, there's Parker Meadows has to hit an extra base hit in every game.
Yes,
I mean, they're really.
that is. I mean, I'm okay with that rule.
Yeah, right. But he's been doing that, which is awesome. And I think it's just because his brother's in the organization now, and he's like, "Oh, now I can, I got to play with him, right?" I don't know, but oh my god, it's been amazing.
I will.
Let's see, what
I think Dan Hasty mentioned that his mom Stacy was on or was nearby.
She went on the broadcast.
She went on the broadcast. Thank you. She was on the broadcast, and so it does help out there. And the Meadows clan out there has been more than patient with support. With dealing with some of the Tiger fans who are just being negative about Parker and what have you. But I got to give. I mean, in terms of numbers, let's look at his numbers this week. So there's been a total of 8 games. Is that right? Across the system, or what am I thinking? It's
I think they played 9 games.
9 games. Okay.
6 this week and 3 the first week.
Okay, that's right. Okay, so out of the 9 games, he's had multiple hit games. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's had 4 multiple hit games, or essentially, and during the series going back to the last game against the Great Lakes Loons, he's batting .357 with 3 home runs. He's driven in 5. And he's in terms of 4 doubles, pair of singles, and he's 10 for 30. 10 for 30.
This week he was 8 for 27 with 4 doubles, a triple, and 3 home runs. He didn't hit a single. It was all double extra base power. I haven't paid attention to the entire league. I know Trevor could probably get better. I know Christian Encarnacion Strand has been going bonkers all year, but it wouldn't shock me if Parker Meadows wins Player of the Week in the Midwest League. Maybe he won't because somebody else is also going nuts, but he certainly put up a case for it.
Yeah, he has. He absolutely has. And you know what? The thing is, this has always been there. It's you're perpetually looking at him, watching him, going, "Where is it?"
Mm-hmm.
That's why this is not. If this were happening for some prospects, I would look at it and be like, "Okay, well, you had a good week," but like it's interesting because it's Parker Meadows, and I've been pessimistic about him, as have many Tiger fans, because the production hasn't been there. But he is very talented at baseball. He always has been. He's always had that athleticism. And it's always been one of those things where you look at him and you're like, okay, it's coming. It's got to come. Then again, you look at Ronnie Mauricio in the Mets system and say the same thing, and that hasn't come yet. And I know this is a Tigers podcast, but I try to say that about Ronnie Mauricio whenever I can. But with Parker Meadows, like it's on. It looks like it could be here. I'm willing to believe this is real more so than I would for other prospects, just because of the fact that you can look at Parker Meadows. We've been watching Parker Meadows going, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and I hope that it's here.
Well, yeah, I mean, to your point, he just struggled to make quality contact for basically the entirety of his professional career. All the rest, and he doesn't have the world's best like base stealing instincts. He's fast, but he's not a good base stealer. Basically, I think he's probably like 60% success rate in his career. But the tools have always been there, and he was never a guy who looked like completely overmatched. The strikeout rates were reasonable. It was like 25%, and he would walk 8-9%. He just couldn't make hard contact. It was like a very bizarre mix of all these tools and lack of contact. And now he's making the hard contact, and everything else is still there. And suddenly, like, oh wow, this could be. I mean, he could again been 9 games. Don't want to go crazy, but if he keeps playing like this for another month or 2, who knows? The sky's the limit for him, really.
Another person that's had a good week in West Michigan, by the way, the series was Mike Rothenberg, who is a catcher. He's a catcher out of Duke that I know Chris and I were talking about how it was value bags, a really good defensive catcher as well. But he had a good week. Good series. Well, it technically is a week.
Everybody was hitting down in West Michigan.
Yeah. And something that Dan Hasty said on the podcast or on the broadcast today, it's not just dinking and dunking singles. It's actually a lot of legitimate power in doubles. And Jake Holton, by the way, who had 2 home runs on Saturday, he's had a really good week over in West Michigan. Colt Keith, again, even with he had a triple today, rather.
Hitting the ball hard.
Yeah, he's definitely hitting the ball hard. He's gotten kind of at people too, but overall, even the one guy too that still stands out to me, and it's good to see progress, and is Trey Cruz, because Trey Cruz, it was funny. Nathan Wangler said today during the broadcast, he said Trey Cool, which is the drummer from Green Day. And I was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool if it was the drummer of Green Day. Anyway, but Trey Cruz, I'm happy with the progress. We talked about this on the live podcast or live post game show, and that is another definitely infield bat that the Tigers should get going. And the only thing about this weekend was bizarre. Austin Murray made a really good catch today. And Ty Madden's, he struck out 3 times though, so that was kind of like un-Murr-like.
It's strange. The outfield, like we said, everybody was hitting. Winslow Perez had a good week. Jake Holden, Mike Rothenberg, Trey Cruz, all those guys had good weeks at the plate, except for the outfield outside of Parker Meadows. Austin Murray was only like 3 hits, which is rare for him, but he did walk 5 times. So, but like poor Bryant Packard was like 1 for 16 with a bunch of strikeouts. Mel Jerry and Schultz haven't done a whole lot yet. It's I don't know if it's
watch your mouth.
What's that?
Watch your mouth.
Schultz, I don't think has a hit yet, which I feel bad about. And Mel Jerry, I think, got a couple in one game.
Yeah.
So hopefully he's picking it up there. But yeah, I mean, the offense was doing the job. We saw it's just funny. Winslow Perez has been there for like 6 years now in a row, but he basically won that game for them that we went and saw. He had a great at bat in the 10th inning, I think, or 9th inning it was the 10th inning that wasn't even a long at bat. He was just like, he got the first pitch and knew what he had to do. Got to get the run in from third, hit it deep to center field. And then the final at bat of the game must have been 8-9 pitches before he finally doubled over the Austin Beck's head with the help from the wind. But yeah, he's just turned himself into like a pesky, I don't know. I always compare him to Harold Castro now. He's a guy who was like a one-time prospect, kind of faded into the background. And then 5 years later, what do you know? He's in the majors.
Hitting Wenzel doesn't sound as good as hitting Harold, though.
No. It doesn't. Whack and Wenzel.
Whack. There you go.
Whack and Wenzel.
Whack.
Go
on, Chris. I'm sorry.
I don't know if you're going to talk about more hitters, but I was going to switch to the pitching because that was where the other big stories were.
Can I jump in on hitters real quick?
Yeah,
sure,
go ahead.
Also, Pesky Perez also works, by the way. But I just want to run down and say a few things about some of those hitters that you mentioned. So Rothenberg, when again I dropped my personal, has no affiliation with Prospects Live or Bless You Boys top Tigers prospects, and I put Rothenberg inside the top 30 as the second best catcher. I mean, how soon we forget he was touted as the best hitting catcher the year before his draft year. And then his draft year, the hitting production fell off at Duke. So it's not weird if he starts to hit because he has a track record of hitting. He had a down year. He fell. The Tigers were like, cool, thank you. We'll take him. I think Rothenberg's a really good catching prospect. I would absolutely love one day if it's Dingler and Rothenberg as the catching tandem in Detroit. Murr, I just want to say this about him. He reminds me a lot of Alec Burleson from the Cardinals organization. And it's not necessarily that they have similar hitting profiles, although I don't know if they're that dissimilar in a lot of ways. It's just that when they go to the plate and you're watching, they take professional at bats. Like you never feel like something's going to go wrong. You don't think he's going to strike out ever. Like some guys walk up there, you're like, oh yeah, this is not going to go well for him. It just always feels like it's a professional at bat. Like it's going to be productive in some sort of way. Now he's got to stop hitting the ball on the ground so much, or he's got to hit the ball because 3 strikeouts isn't good. But it just feels like he's knows what he's doing up there in a way that makes him one of those underrated prospects that just kind of keeps going. And people are like, what about that guy? He's doing pretty well. And then a few people who are watching are like, yeah, we've been saying he's good. And that's going to be you guys. Cause you guys, I think, were the first in on Murr really, but those are just a couple of guys. And Trey Cruz, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, looks healthy is the only way I can describe it. And that's a good thing.
Yeah. I think they've been a little bit careful about playing him too much in the field or, give him days off here and there. Whatever, I don't know what it was he had last year, but it probably is the sort of thing that tends to linger. So they've been doing a good job with that. But yeah, and he's also, you could tell he's just a warm weather kid. He is just constantly bundled up. He's got the full Placido Blanco balaclava on at all times and a neck scarf and stuff like that. So they probably want to keep him warm. But yeah, it's just nice to see him healthy. I think he had only 3 doubles this week. And yeah, and they've been playing him all over the infield too. So it's just nice to see. He was basically the one guy who kind of got left behind last year out of that 6-man 2020 draft class. Everybody made noise except for him. I guess you could say Daniel Cabrera kind of, lost some luster, but Cruz didn't even get a chance to really show out. So,
and right before we move the pitchers, Chris, I did want to mention Carlos Irigoyen, who is up with Western Michigan. We kind of forgotten of all the guys that was up there. He had 2 hits. I think it was opening day. He had, was it opening day? I don't know
when he popped up there, but I was surprised because he was one of their 2 big international signings. I want to say like 2018.
Yeah, he had 2 hits.
It was him and Alvaro Gonzalez.
So I want to say he had 2 hits on. I think it was on Thursday. That was the first game that he was actually in a game beforehand, but he had 2 hits on Thursday. He was 2 for 4, and then he had a hit yesterday, or I'm sorry, today. He had a hit today. So he's in there. He originally appeared in the last game of the series second to last game series against Great Lakes. So, but that's another guy we should take. Pardon me?
Oh no, I didn't really. I don't know. He's a guy that kind of fell off my radar. I don't think he'd done a whole lot in like the complex leagues and rookie ball and stuff. And I don't even remember him doing much in Lakeland last year. But
he's
kind of West Michigan holding his own. And
yeah, as far as what he did, I mean, he was in rookie ball last year before he jumped to Lakeland, and he actually got off to a really good start before he cooled down. And he finished the year, I want to say, under 200 or near 200 for that. But anyway, let's move on to the pitching, shall we? Go ahead, Chris.
Well, I mean, the big one I think that everybody got excited about was seeing Wilmer Flores because he was just so damn dominant, electric. It was like a 9-pitch first inning, struck out the side, or no, it was 2 strikeouts and a ground ball or something like that. But yeah, I mean, that was a guy we kind of started thinking about last year when we were noticing some of his pitch data, and then he goes to the AFL, and it's like, hey, this is interesting, and he just came out and just blew away the Lansing hitters. Now they adjusted, I think, in the 3rd inning. We're falling the ball off a lot more, but they still couldn't do much against it. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was nasty. It was nasty fastball, a couple of nasty breaking balls. I think we still don't know if it's going to be a starter or a reliever. It's probably a reliever. Just I don't know. That's just what everybody seems to think. But I don't know. Keep giving him innings and see what happens because that was fun.
I see starter for what it's worth. And I'll share this. Months off season, I sent the one video I could find on the internet to a scout friend of mine and said, look at this. This is awesome. And the scout friend goes, effort on release, body concerns. It looks like, it looks like a reliever. And I'm like, all right, cool. Thanks for crushing my hopes and dreams. So when Flores did what Flores did in his first outing, which I might stop talking just to watch it. But I sent that. I clipped it up, all the strikeouts. I sent the video to that same guy, and he goes, oh, that's really fun. And I'm like, it is fun. And then he goes, it looks like there's body concerns. It kind of looks like a soft body, and it looks like effort on delivery. I'm like, hey, at least you're consistent, dude. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it is. There's a lot of reliever risk there. You can see it right now. The main effort is on the release. It's not even like a effort, obviously, in motion, but when he releases the ball, you can tell there's a lot of effort. There's head whack. If you look, his head bounces when he releases the ball.
Right there, yeah.
And the body concerns are valid. I mean, I don't ever buy into those necessarily, but all of that could mean reliever. But good Lord, was it nasty? Is he fun? I see it. I just see a starter. I don't know. I can't watch him and not see a guy who has a chance at a major league rotation. But a lot of that also comes down to command. I know his command was really good in this start, but we can't obviously expect that. I think his command still is a question.
Yeah, and the head whack you can see right there. Let's see, put it right there. That's it. And Dan Hasty chime in, by the way. He will be starting on Tuesday, so I don't know. Maybe you know what?
On the road, right there.
Yeah, maybe I might drive out to West Michigan on Tuesday. You don't have to go, Chris. I might just go myself. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe I'll skip work and drive up.
You should. But no. And one of the things about Flores' start too, and whether he's a reliever or not, one of the things was just the quick. He worked at a really quick pace too. I mean Chris sped up that video there, but it was pretty similar to what he was doing during the game. And as far as just
Whitecaps are in Dayton.
They're in Dayton. Well, it's 4 hours from Dayton. I got Dayton's in the mothership.
No.
Oh, you feel like going to Dayton Tuesday?
It's a date.
Yeah,
right, sorry.
Yeah,
did I just ruin the whole broadcast with that?
Hopefully, we'll get out there. And no, but that was a good start. The other start, Chris. Who was the other start?
Well, we saw earlier that day. We saw Jordan Marks. He pitched 4 innings. 3 of them were very good. One of them was not very good. But he's still kind of an exciting guy. He's a polished pitcher who's going to throw some strikes, and it'd be fun to watch what he does. Then we also got the second outings from Dylan Smith and Ty Madden. And Dylan Smith looked a hell of a lot like he did in his first outing, which was basically like, all right, well, I guess you're just going to be athletic and pour in strikes and miss bats with this breaking ball, and okay, that's having fun. I worry a little bit about Dylan Smith's. I don't know. I haven't seen a changeup from him really. I don't know if he threw any yet. If I just missed him, I'd like to see something like that to combat lefties, but there's not much to complain about other than that right now.
Yeah, I will say. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Trevor. My bad.
About Smith's outing, and I've watched 80 pitchers since then, so I could be wrong here, but as I recall it, he was pitching backwards more. He wasn't relying on fastball to slider. He was going slider first and then fastball. He was throwing a lot of those sliders, and I always like guys who can do that. Obviously, we know that he can go the other way and go fastball first, but I think that's a really, really good sign, and I hope that we see a changeup or curveball, whatever else is in his arsenal soon. I don't think I've seen one yet. You're right, Chris, but I think that's the one main difference, though, is the pitch usage and the sequencing he was doing was a completely different look, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think he got more looking strikeouts than he did swinging strikeouts, and he was keeping people off balance. And I love the delivery. It's free and easy. I like the athleticism. I think there's a lot there to like. It's just some added polish, and I think the Tigers could have something there too. So that's really fun. And then Ty Madden.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should take credit for we talked about Ty Madden's pitching or mechanics changes last weekend on the podcast.
Yes. And you know what? Look, I know Dan mentioned it, and if Dan, you're still listening, it was the picture that was used in JJ Cooper's article may look familiar to you. Just wanted to explain how that came to be.
I think other people would have picked up on it too. So maybe it wasn't us, maybe somebody else.
I know. I know.
But one thing I thought was interesting is we talked about it last week. The book on him was his fastball didn't play well up in the zone. And then last week he came out and threw a ton of high fastballs and missed a ton of bats with them because he had altered his mechanics a little bit. And JJ Cooper had the great breakdown article about, we just kind of looked at it and said, this is interesting. And JJ Cooper had all the numbers behind it, which was great. But one thing I noticed today is he kept trying to throw those fastballs up, and he seemed like his fastball command was a little scattered. And they kept fouling him off and hitting pop-ups. A lot of fly balls against Madden, including one that was a home run. And then he started using his breaking ball, and they were just hopeless. Like, oh, all right, you guys are onto this. I'm just going to throw this breaking ball. And they couldn't do anything against it. And he also, I think he got a strikeout on his changeup, which he hasn't thrown a ton, but the one he threw looked really good to me. So,
that was the one.
I'm excited about Madden.
Was that the one kind of like in the inside corner?
It would have been. It was against the lefty, and it was low and away. I think it was.
Okay. All right. Yeah, he had I thought he did a good job of setting up his curve. They were sitting at times. It looked like they were sitting for his fastball, but he gave him that curve. And I think one of the best appearances, or excuse me, the way he handled after the home run was the same way he handled the home run at Great Lakes. He went back in and just went and attacked the hitter. He didn't. That was a pretty quick strikeout, and I'm going to post that video here in a second, but I'm just trying to find the back one because I remember the mechanics was something that we had the side-to-side view for. But I thought Madden pitched well. Jacko O'Loughlin, yes, is that correctly?
I think they pronounce it O'Loughlin.
O'Loughlin.
We've always been saying O'Loughlin, but yeah, it's O'Loughlin.
We have some Australian listeners out there, but I thought he had a good outing too. I thought he went out there and pitched scoreless, and he was before Dylan Smith on Saturday, and Lansing has some bats in the lineup. I thought he did a really good job of changing the eye level and keeping everybody off balance, as I just said that redundantly, but still, I thought he pitched solid. Anybody else want to add to that?
I'll add something on Madden here. Maybe I just am a fan of aggressive assignments. I just want to see him in Double-A already. But Let me tell you why that's not going to happen. And this goes back to something that also matters with Job and what they're going to do with him. Think about where a lot of these new development people have come from. And that is the Dodgers, which is awesome because the Dodgers are good at development, but also gives us a blueprint. Look at Bobby Miller and Clayton Beeter last year. They were in they were in high A the whole year. They were short outings, all that stuff. I think that's kind of a similar path. So I don't think we'll see Ty Madden in Double A, even though I think he probably could compete there and it wouldn't be bad. And I think we'll see Jackson Jobe continue to have the short stints until next year. And now we're seeing Clayton Beeter go like 4 innings and strike out 7 to 9 batters because that's the Dodgers. But yeah, that's what I have on Ty. That's the only thing I have on Ty Madden to add. I think you guys are covering him really well, but I think he's ready for Double A. I don't know. The college pitching. I mean, you see a lot of those guys get dropped into Double A and they do fine. I think Ty Madden would be among them.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for working on the finer points of pitching in the minors, and then finally getting to the stamina stuff when you're up at the higher levels. So you're not wasting all those bullets on the games that don't matter, honestly. Yeah. So it's an interesting development idea, and yeah, I don't know. It seems to be working okay for the Dodgers with their constant line of pitching.
And you know what? Sometimes it's better to do that because this goes back to that conversation I had with Scoopel a couple of years ago. He was talking about how sometimes pitchers go out there and they're working on something, so the outing might not be good. That's another thing to realize about the minor leagues when you watch pitching. The outing may not be good. The pitcher is working on something. It's not like they just go out and throw and try to put up numbers. They're developing. So I remember Scoopel telling a story about his changeup. He's like, "Oh, we want to work on my changeup. I'm throwing changeups. I'm not feeling it." He said he wasn't feeling it, and he gave up like a 450-foot homer on a changeup, and he's like, I'll throw it again now. Like it just because that's what he was working on that day. And that's another thing I think to realize. So in those shorter stints, yeah, you go out and you want to tell Ty Madden, hey, we want you to locate your fastball up more. Well, he's going to throw a lot of fastballs up, even if the hitters start to expect it, start to put bats on it. It's not going to stop it because that's what he's working on. They want to see something. They want to see the data behind the fastball when it's up versus down. They want him to work in and out, east to west in the upper quadrants. I mean, that kind of stuff happens. And so, yeah, in those shorter stints, the whole point is I think it's better for confidence almost sometimes if they can get in and out working what they want to work on and then move on to the next one.
What I did notice though today was at times with Madden, and here's an example of that too, where he had the first inning, he had that walk, is when
Austin Murr.
Oh, there's
Murr.
It's
amazing.
Yeah, good call there on Nate too. You know what? Let's rewind it again, just because it's that fantastic. Like, there we go. Sorry, I was scaring everybody with that, and boom.
Yeah, it's a full Superman layout. That's fun.
So, but and as far as what I was getting back to Madden about is that I noticed later in the game that he went back to what was in the first couple innings. I think he was just trying to figure out where the fastball was going to be. But look, see, there was a breaking ball. When the fastball wasn't working, went right back to the breaking ball, and that there was just kind of a guy learning, going, okay, if this is not like trying to figure out exactly what works, and there was another off-speed pitch right there, so. A lot more. I saw more off-speed pitches. I don't know what you guys did, but I saw more off-speed today.
Yeah, for sure. That's good. I mean, you're going to need the off-speed if you're going to be a major league starter. Get it out there, learn to use it against professional hitters. I mean, look, I know that you can talk about the rate of what a solid Division I college program like Texas and the competition they face and where that translates into minor league baseball. And roughly, probably it's about high A-ish or low A, whatever. But the fact remains that if he is out there facing an SEC team, or let's just say Texas versus Vanderbilt, he's facing Vanderbilt. Not everyone in that lineup is a professional hitter. Everybody in the minor leagues is a professional hitter, right? So there's still a learning curve of how to pitch to some of these guys, just like high school with Job. Like almost none of those guys are professional hitters outside of the showcases he faced. So it's just it's good. Use your off speed, learn to use it. That's what all this is for. It's not for our entertainment and to think and hope and be like, one day we'll get Ty Madden. Like they need to work on stuff. So I love that he's used a lot more off speed in this. I love the same reason I love Dylan Smith pitching backwards with the slider more often early in counts. Like it's all good. And it all should look if a guy's going out and doing the same thing over and over again, lest he be Yuri Perez or Daniel Espino, like it's probably an issue.
Yeah, there should be. There's so many times where it could be the case of in the weather, for example, you can't exactly maybe get a good grip, so maybe wait till it gets a little warmer to get a better grip on a pitch or what have you. There's numerous things. It's not just for getting the win or getting innings. There's always some sort of work to be done. So let's quickly look through Lakeland because we have a couple questions. And Lakeland was, again, we mentioned this earlier. Thank the Lord that Lakeland was on TV this week. Not today, though. 17-7 is a loss as the Marauders.
4 home runs in one inning.
Yeah.
I don't want to be this guy. As soon as Job was done, I turned it off.
No, I mean, it's Lakeland. They went 1-5 this week, and we don't care at all. We don't care. This is one of the youngest teams in the Florida State League. They've got.
Like, I trust you guys to give me the Pacheco highlights and the Lazaro Benitez highlights, and then I'm done. Like,
yeah,
that's the thing. Okay, so I clip a lot of that. I clip a lot of pictures, a lot of hits, and all that stuff. Put it on Twitter. I always feel like I don't want to do the Tigers, even though I watch all of the Tigers because you guys cover it so well. So that's a compliment to you guys, is how I mean that. But it's like I want to put Tigers out there, but like why?
We do occasionally. There are times when I go like, I want to get this, and Trevor's got it, so I'll just retweet him. It's easy. It works. It's fine with me. But yeah, it was great to see all these young guys. This week we got Christian Santana's first home run in A-ball, right? We got Manuel Sequeira's first home run in A-ball. We got Pacheco's first home run in A-ball. We got a bunch of hard hit balls like Campos, right?
Yeah.
Benitez.
I'm
forever going to ride this train. I'm forever going
to
to ride this train. I performed the one Cardinal. I'm sorry to cut you off. I performed the one Cardinal sin of people who create lists, and that is I watched one game, and it was his highlight game because he hadn't had any hits, and then all of a sudden he hit like a double and a single in one game, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to put him 50 on my list, and I'm going to stay staunch on that. And then he hit a home run today, so I'm taking the win. You never grade anything off of highlight tapes, so that's the cardinal sin that I performed, but it worked out because it's 50 on a prospect list, so it's fine.
You're going to 50, it's like whatever. It's those last couple.
It's like prospect 1500. It's like a prospect 1500 thing because sometimes they have 50 prospects.
Yeah,
but Benitez is Cuban, so by default, almost not by default, but I'm just going to root for him because I'm waiting for the day.
Cuban too.
Campos, you highlighted earlier this week. He had a couple of hard hit balls over 100 miles an hour. Go ahead,
He's
Chris.
got an interesting swing where it's like he really hits the ball hard often, but he doesn't get a whole lot of loft on it. It's a lot of like hard grounders and hard line drives, and I'm okay with that for now. You'd like for that to him figure that out eventually, but yeah, he's one of the 3 youngest players in the league, so him hitting it all is a good sign. I think of I like to compare him. Remember, Jose De La Cruz was a guy that a lot of people were high on heading into last year.
Yeah,
this was completely overmatched in low A. And by the way, this year he's already got 3 home runs. You're starting to see some of that come out. He wasn't ready for it last year. This year he seems to be ready for it. And to compare what Campos is doing to what he did last year, I think is a positive sign.
Yeah, Jose De La Cruz had a pair of hits yesterday. Sequeira had a pair of hits yesterday. Pachinko, I want to stop at Pachinko for a second because the at bats I watched Saturday and today, he had some really good long at bats, like 8 or 9 pitch at bats, and he only struck out once. And I know that sounds like not that like, well, why are you mentioning that? He has been striking out quite a bit, but it looks like this weekend he had a different approach at the play. He just was able to drive the counts and get to his favor and make some really good contact to right field.
So yeah, I mean, he's a guy who struggled a lot in the Gulf Coast League last year in his first taste of pro ball, and that's to be expected. And it felt like every time I was watching him, if they threw a breaking ball or a changeup in the dirt, he was swinging at it. But yeah, like the last couple of games, like you're saying, he's put together these really strong at bats, fouling off pitches, and then driving the ball. He homer hits, I think, a couple doubles, right? So
yeah,
that's a good sign. He's not a shortstop. We all knew that. All right, he's built like Jim Thome. He's not playing shortstop.
Torkelson was a third baseman. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So yeah, but no, I'm pleased with the progress I've seen from him so far.
So for me, Pacheco is perpetually going to be compared to Roberto Campos. There's no way around that, right? Like throughout all of their stint in the minors, because they are hit tool question, massive power upside. I think
roughly the same age,
and they're roughly the same age. And Campos has much more raw power, I think.
Yeah.
I think Pacheco's plays better in game. I think Pacheco's hit tool is going to be higher. Ultimately, that's why I'm so much higher on Pacheco. I really, when you watch him, it's like you were saying, he's putting together good at bats today. But what separates him, if you look at the swings, it just, and maybe, I don't have open face angles. I don't have anything else. I'm looking specifically at this Bradenton stream, watching face on, but it just looks like there's more room for adjustment as you recognize a pitch in Pacheco's swing. Where Campos is, I just, for some reason, I feel like until there's an adjustment made in his overall swing, it's just going to be dead red, maybe accidentally hit a curveball sometimes. But with Pacheco, I feel like there's more room for him to recognize curveball out of the hand. Obviously, pitch recognition is something to work on. He'll swing over curveballs and all that stuff. But when he does recognize it, he can keep his hands back without losing much power. One of the things that I was raving about with Riley Green, one of the things that you just love to see. And I think that if he can continue to do that and he can work on his pitch recognition, that is an average hit tool to go along with what would then be plus power. I mean, seriously, he's got so much power. And I know I said that Campos has more raw power, whatever. That just means Campos has more fun BP. But there's a chance for more power in game from Campos is the reason that we talk about raw power. So with Pacheco, I'm kind of really high on that hit tool, assuming he can start to get more pitch recognition.
Yeah, what I definitely noticed about his at bat, like you were mentioning earlier about the approach to the plate. If he can even, I don't know, I would be fine with him being like a potential 25, 30 home run guy batting 275. That's the kind of division.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I would be okay if he hit 60 home runs and batted 400. I don't know if that's
no, but just like in terms of like from a positional standpoint, though, defensively, you got long-term third base or left field. Somebody said something left field
for Pacheco.
Yeah.
I think they're going to stick him at third base for as long as it happens. He's a pretty athletic kid, despite being that large. It just kind of depends on his hands, how they develop, I guess. If they're soft enough, he might move to first base. If he hits for power, it doesn't really matter. If he hits for the power that he's capable of, I think first base could work. But he might stick at third base. Just depends. Kids who are his size at his age tend to get bigger. He's probably going to be like 240 in his prime. So it's just a matter of being able to.
So center field.
Yeah, there you go. Homeboy from James Madison. What's his name? DeLauder.
Yep, Chase DeLauder.
Yeah, he's at that size, right?
So there was a couple of pitching performances I wanted to mention, and one of them was Carlos Marcaio, who is just 18 years old. It's another young. I think he's one of Chris. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. Is he another one of the youngest players in the league too?
Second youngest player in the league. Yeah, and he's kind of one that just I don't know. We knew about Rainer Castillo, the guy they spent money on a couple of years ago. This Carlos Marcano just kind of slipped under the radar. I don't know anything about him, and he's out there like 90 to 93 with a fastball and a pretty good breaking ball. I was like, I don't know, well, this is interesting for such a young kid at low A.
Yeah, the guy who's going to probably be at West Michigan at some point in the next month or so, once some bullpen moves to the Erie goes, is Jack Anderson, who looks a little bit of, I want to say for now, this is a complete short sample size, but look beyond the box score. I thought his stuff was pretty good. He hasn't walked the batter either. So
he's a college pitcher, like with Florida State, right? Or Florida, Central Florida.
No, Florida State. So I think high will be a better challenge for him. But either way, is there anybody pitch wise? I mean, I know Wikil Hernandez pitched and Alex Fado pitched on Friday.
Yeah, we had a couple rehab starts. We got the first pro start of Garrett Burhan, I think, which I did clip together, but I haven't done anything with it. And that was like Tuesday, so I feel bad. He was a top 10 pick for the Tigers, and I thought, well, at least we should, highlight that, but I just haven't gotten to it yet.
Yeah, we'll throw it out there. Tomorrow's an off day. I mean, there's gonna be plenty of content between Motor City Bengals, of course, and Woodward Sports, and
we could always put the top 10 of the week out on Monday, right? I mean,
let's just do that. Yeah, let's just do that. Screw it.
Man,
Yeah.
In
So
your face. In your
yeah, there
face,
you go.
people.
Boom.
I
So
love the
by the-
idea of content planning on a live broadcast.
This
Like,
is
all right.
yeah. This is
Radio for-
Trevor. You would appreciate this. This is radio for 3 right now. This is radio for 3. As somebody that works in the business, you totally would get that. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We did good.
Can I mention one other fun little thing from Lakeland today?
Absolutely.
Sure.
I mentioned that I turned it off as soon as Jackson Jobe was done pitching. What I didn't do was close the tab out that had all the spin rates and whatnot. So what I've done is look at that. And what I notice is that we saw Aaron Haas pitch. Aaron Haas, sorry, I'm awful with names. I should know because like there's a tiger with the same exact name, but still.
It's very close to Eric Haas.
Yeah, right. So what's cool about Aaron is that he threw a few sliders that were 2,800, 2,900 RPM. Now his fastball is not nearly as high RPM as Jackson Jobe, but I mean, you're close to 3,000 RPM on a slider. That's a good thing.
Yeah. No, we got to see one outing from him in spring training, actually, against the Yankees. I think he closed out the game. And I put that one together because this is kind of fun. He's another guy from last year. And like you said at the very beginning of the show, like this is a profile that the Tigers are seeking out these days. His breaking ball definitely good. The fastball was like 91, 94, I want to say. I don't, and I didn't look at the spin rate, so I have to check that out. But yeah, it's they're just finding guys with something interesting about them and seeing what they can do, which is fun.
Yeah, I mean, so it's all. I mean, it's if you can't teach spin rates like that, like you can't take any old. I guess unless you're Cleveland somehow, but you can't take any old pitcher and give him 2,500 RPM fastball, 3,000 RPM slider, right? Like you have to teach. You can't, to a degree, teach a guy low release height with a flat vertical attack angle or a steep one or whatever. They need to have this stuff. You can optimize from there. That's the big thing. And that's what the Dodgers find. If you guys remember watching Emmett Sheehan against West Michigan, and I think that was Smith's first outing is who he faced. Emmett Sheehan's a guy who has that flat VAA on the fastball, and then they're going to work on the rest. Seriously, that's what the Dodgers do. And that's what the Tigers are now starting to do. They're finding these little things that they can try to optimize and build on. And that is really, really cool because it's going to lead to it's what's led to, we talk about how exciting this farm system is right now. It's not even that they have a bunch of guys at the top. This system has been top heavy for so long. I mean, forever. It was Mize, Manning, Skubal, and the rest of them, and Green and Torkelson and whoever else.
I would go.
It's got depth.
I was going to say probably go 25 years. It's been like that, honestly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And now there's depth. Like I can talk about a third tier starting pitcher in terms of prospects and be excited about it.
Yeah.
Well, and to your point on Haas, he's a tiny dude. He's like 5'8", which is not depth anymore. Just because of what you mentioned about the fastball approach angle, right?
Yeah, that's low release height right there by nature of your short, unfortunately. But it is low release height. I mean, it works. And so I don't know what he looks like. I don't know where his angle's from. Like if he comes over the top, that's probably not great. But if he's regular 3/4 sidearm, like perfect. That's a low release height. And that fastball plays a lot better up in the zone off of a near 3,000 RPM slider. That's really good. So it's finding those little things that add a lot of interesting depth in. Finding a guy like Murray, even, who is just a good professional hitter. Finding Malgiri, who is ultra athletic, and maybe it turns into something. Hasn't so far. It will. I'll hold out hope. But that's what's really cool about finding all this depth. And that's what I wrote a piece a while ago on Bless You Boys about how they're turning into an arm barn. That was Brandon Day's title. I'm giving him complete control over that one. I did not want to use that term. Yeah, right. But they're finding these things, and that's why Elvin Perez was on the 40 man. That's why they added him to the 40 man. He's a data monster who they can work with and develop stuff. So that is how you get to be the Dodgers, where you're like, oh, they're just perpetually good at developing everything, right? You have to find what works and find what you're good at developing and start pulling those out. Find the unicorns like Jackson Jobe and say, all right, we can work on the rest, because there's certain things that you can't teach. You can work on his command. You can work on his sequencing. You can work on a whole lot of stuff. You cannot take a guy with spinning a 2,000 RPM slider and give him 1,000 more RPMs on it. It's just
if
not going to happen.
They do it for Matt Manning.
Right. So that is what's really cool about this new development team. That's why I love what's happening here with the Tigers in the minor leagues. And it's the depth, man. That's why it's so fun. That's what we don't realize. It was fun when you had top heavy. Sure, it's great to have 60 future value guys at the top, but there's only so many of those in baseball. You need the 40s and the 45s to fill it out, and then you have a really fun system.
I like how, by the way, he springs back up after his release.
So there's a Campos though. Yeah, this is Haas. It's kind of a high 3/4 release, but you guys throw a couple pretty nice breaking balls in this. I remember, but I was looking at that because we do have some video of him, and
he's got the lettuce too.
Yeah, he does. They actually mentioned that on the broadcast. They're like, that's a big league haircut. Oh, Carlos Mendoza in the game. Now look how small he is compared to Roberto Campos. It's a real Altuve.
Campos is a big dude.
No, and one of the things that, by the way, to get to top 10, I just want to clear that up real quick. So starting tomorrow, probably, during the off day, because it makes a lot of sense, we're going to put together the top 10 plays of the week from the week before on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I mean, a part of it, I guess, is top 10 plays, but part of it, I think, is we're just going to need to put the stuff that people react to, because we put the one tweet of a Jackson Jobe slider today, and people were like, "Oh my God, look at that thing!" And it was like a completely, one pitch by itself, and so I'm like, we might as well put that in there just because people were looking at it, but it was, I wouldn't call it a top 10 play.
Yeah, but plays it maybe I don't know,
not for the catcher at least.
Yeah. Well, maybe we'll work on the title a little bit, but nevertheless, I think there's a lot to it that could work with this, because on Twitter things get lost in the shuffle pretty quickly. We had that on Discord. Somebody's like, "Oh, I missed that." So it's like, I thought about it. I'm like, well, how many times I have certain notifications when people tweet and what have you. So I don't think about. Not everybody has that kind of formula to it. So
yeah, I mean, we could just call it like the top 10 moments, basically. It didn't necessarily because one of the other ones I had was Wilmer Flores, his first pitch or first batter, the 3-pitch strikeout. It was like, well, that's a great moment. I want that to be seen again.
Except for Tiger's turmoil.
Top 10 fun stuff.
There we go. Yeah. We got to think of some radio cliche thing now coming up here. We have the top 10.
Oh yeah, you got to do the puke voice too.
Yeah, top 10 TMLR moments of the week brought to you by Kia or Waterford Kia.
What happened across Tigers minor leagues this week?
With the echo sound effect. Week. So coming up here at number 10.
We got a couple more questions.
Yes, look at some. Sorry, Chris. Thank you for steering me back in from doing the.
I mean, who was this? This was from Epic.
Deadly Ninja. He's had a question too.
He asked his question. We kind of touched on it. Was about Winston Brisky, I think.
Got it.
Epic asked us. He said, "When do Santana, Campos, and Jobe make the bigs?"
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, these are guys in low A that still need a ton of work. I mean, optimistically, you're talking 2024, most realistically 25 or 26.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In which case, I mean, so they're 18. Jobe is like 19. Santana, Campos are 18. So.
And a lot of that depends on performance. ETA math is hard. In general, my rule of thumb, and there's no reason this should work, my rule of thumb is just 1 year for every level. I mean, that's really the best you can do. And then they perform well, they advance a level mid-season, they perform poorly, they stay back.
I think, I that's the way I view it for high school or international prospects. For the most part, you're going to just move one level at a time. And if you move one level at a time, you're fine. You're doing great. Yep. It's the rare Riley Greens or Ronald Acuña's or Juan Soto's who just go bonkers and I just send him to AAA, whatever. He's really too good for this.
People see that and they're like, everybody else sucks.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are amazing. But 1 year, one level at a time would be great. And so this year, low A, next year, so 23 is high A, 24 is AA, 25 is AAA, maybe the majors. I think, 25, 26, probably best case for those three guys. But who knows? Maybe they all go full Acuña.
Wouldn't that be something?
Tiger fans are wanting that so bad for some strange reason.
And the last one, and this is kind of interesting because I've got an article coming out about this tomorrow. Peter Cusimano said, "Who are your Tigers prospects you think will top 100 prospect lists by the end of the season?" Now, by the end of the season is a little bit tough because not everybody does like a full reconfiguring of the top 100, but some people do. I don't know if you guys have any names in mind. I think we've talked about it, several of them today.
I mean, Campos comes to mind for me. I would have to say, in terms of from a high A standpoint, I think Madden, of course, but you know what? As far as like, I really think I know it sounds like an extreme thing to say, but I think Mike Rottenberg has an outside chance to be on the top 100. Only I say that because Dingler's been getting a lot of attention, but if he continues to hit and continues to be like kind of like what he's doing right now at West Michigan, just an outside chance. Maybe if I had to base it on percentages, maybe 15% chance, but either you go big or go home. I mean, so, but and even Dylan Smith has an outside chance too as well.
This is by end of year.
Yeah, that's the way he put it. I would
None.
I would in my head I would say next year be on a top 100 list, or I mean it's possible by the end of the year, but like I said, a lot of reconfiguring happens in the off season.
None. Maybe Ty Madden, but none. If we're just talking by next year. Now, here's the thing: if we're talking a couple years down the road, I think there's dudes who have a shot. But I just in a year, I mean, really, because you got to think when you're doing these top 100 lists, if you're looking a year out, a guy who's not there has to have a super notable year. I mean, because right now you're looking at this top 100 going, oh yeah, Ty Madden could jump in there, but you forget by the time that the next top 100 comes out next year, there's another 15 draft picks that are going to have to slot in somewhere. So you have to make your name known. Like Ty Madden's going to have to go on some sort of run where he doesn't give up. He throws 8 shutout starts in a row where he's got 9 strikeouts each. Like it's just that kind of thing where he's got to be that impressive to make it. And I think he's the only one who has a shot, but it's going to be really tough because Chase DeLauder is coming, and so is Kevin Parada and Drew Jones and all the draft guys that are that need to come in. But if you want to talk a couple years down the road, absolutely, I think Campos is in the conversation. Pacheco probably has a case. Javier Osorio, the big ticket IFA signing, I think he's certainly got a case to to make that list. I think Reese Olson maybe one day. Christian Santana is another guy I think we hadn't mentioned yet. And let's just get really weird. Like I'll throw out a Michael Rothenberg type, like Rogelio did, just to have fun. And let me say Trey Cruz.
All right, I can down with that.
I'm just gonna do it. I mean, it's just weird. I feel like if he puts it all together, like maybe I know Fangraphs was really high on him. They were definitely the highest, but I think there's something there for sure. So, but yeah. So short answer: next year, none. A couple years down the road, maybe a lot.
Yeah. So I had in my article. I have 6 guys who could make it. I did the same thing last year, and let's see. I think I had Franklin Perez on there. I'm like, hey, he was the top 100 prospect one time. Maybe he can come back. And that was like I did it in like February or March. It was right before. Oh yeah, okay, obviously not. But I had Parker Meadows, I had Gage Workman, I had who else did I have? I had Dylan Dingler, and maybe Campos or Jose De La Cruz. But yeah, I mean this year I'm looking. Santana is already pretty close on some publications list. I think he's 5th in the system to Fangraphs and to Baseball America. And if he goes out in low A as the youngest player in the league and performs well, I think some publications might give him a chance. It kind of depends on how much power he's hitting for, and they might hold him back a little bit because he's mostly playing second base. So that's going to be, getting there. I think Ty Madden's a possibility. I think Parker Meadows, if he continues hitting, I mean, the comp for him coming out of high school was Bradley Zimmer. And Bradley Zimmer was a top 50 prospect when he started performing in minor league baseball. So if you've got a center fielder who can stick in center field, who's hitting for power and showing, good defense, he could be a top 100 prospect. But again, like to Trevor's point, a lot of other stuff has to go on. You have to show enough ability to really climb lists, to jump over other people who are heading in. There are other teams that have players who are performing too. So yeah, it's tough, but the Tigers have some interesting guys who could make that leap. It's just they have to have sustained performance and show the tools.
I like the fact that we got nuts, ladies and gentlemen. No, I was just thinking about like I was thinking I really overthought it for a second. I'm like, is that really saying that I put Michael Rottenberg as the top 100? Why not? I mean, look, and Trevor, you put it in perspective very well. It's going to take us some time, but it is nice to have at least more than just a few names, just the same 2 or 3 names. And I think the next few weeks will be telling based off. I think when the weather gets warmer, we'll even see some names that we didn't expect, especially Trey Cruz, because this is a guy who grew up playing in Texas and what have you, and you see him out there. He's got the most gear on when he's playing out there. He is like just hoodie. It's like Voltron when he gets ready, man. It's just like an entire process. But
never feel bad about going crazy there, man. With top 100, because dude, guys make it all the time. Whenever Stephen Kwan, I didn't know who he was until 3 months ago, and now he's like the biggest thing in baseball because he doesn't strike out or whatever. Like it's just things happen with these guys, so it makes sense that you can see Michael Rothenberg or Trey Cruz or Austin Murr or Ben Algieri and just say like they have skills there, like they could jump up.
I think of Logan Webb. I don't think Logan Webb was ever a top 100 prospect anywhere. And maybe I'm mistaken.
I still don't think of Logan Webb as a good pitcher just because of the preconceived notions in your mind.
Yeah.
He looks like the second coming of Jake Peavy. He looks like an ace. And and it's like, and I think a lot of times that's what happens. I think guys, a lot of the good pitchers in the majors weren't super highly rated prospects. They had some prospect renown. They were in top 30s or whatever. But they kept getting better, and then they get better at the big leagues. And after they've exhausted their prospect status, and it's like, wow, okay, this is legit now. So, yeah, Bo Brisky is a great example of a guy like that. I don't think he'll ever be on a top 100 prospect list, but if he goes out and ends up having a better career than Matt Manning or Casey Mize, I wouldn't be that shocked. I mean, it would be kind of a bummer for the Tigers, but whatever, as long as he's good.
Well, those are the guys that are going like, this is what I need to work on. They're targeting things. They're not just going out there like, all right. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that didn't work. Okay. Like they're like, okay, this off season, like I want to get my changeup moving. I want to mess with the grip, or I want to get that curveball. I want it to be less loopy. I want it to have more sharp bite on it, or I want to give a different look. Like maybe I figure out how I can have the loopy curveball to as a give me strike on 0-0 and then bury one in the dirt with sharp break. Like those things, when you're specifically attacking that, those guys are like you said, they keep getting better.
Yeah, it's one of the hardest things to do for we're not scouts, but for real life scouts, one of the hardest things for them to do is find those guys who just won't accept anything less than success. Like the JD Martinez's of the world, it's just like, no, I'm going to figure out how to make this happen, and they do. It's hard to find those guys, but they last until the 19th round or whatever.
So I want to leave everybody with first of all, thank you for listening tonight, and thank you, Trevor, for stopping by. But I'm gonna leave you with. Well, Jon Stewart used to host the Daily Show. He had a thing called A Moment of Zen.
That's right.
And this ties into what we were talking about. So, ladies and gentlemen, I leave you with this moment of Zen before we sign off. And just sit back, relax, and enjoy this. Who is that right there? Oh, it's crazy.
Isaac Pacheco? What do you like?
The Jackson Jobe slider, posted by Scott Bentley earlier.
Oh, all right.
Nice.
Hey, is that our video?
No, that's Scott. Maybe he did take our video. Maybe.
Hey,
I don't know.
Is that the video that I stole?
Hey, if you've stolen it from me, it's been stolen twice.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I just want to leave that with everybody. So, shout out to everybody listening. Jeremy, thank you for listening on YouTube. Everybody who's chimed in this evening. We'll have the podcast loaded for you tomorrow on. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, and there'll be an article. I'll have, by the way, patreon.com/Tigers Minor League Report. Please subscribe. I'm gonna have some more articles. We're gonna have reports up there. We're rebuilding the website too. So all the money, like I said, goes into what we're doing. Came out there Tuesday. If it wasn't for you guys, gas money, stuff like that, little stuff like that. We're having an intern starting in 2 weeks who's been messaging me. By the way, Trevor, this kid played baseball locally around here too, so I'm excited to bring somebody else aboard that. No, he was commenting on the slider rate too, and he knows his stuff. He's geeky about baseball, so looking forward to it. So, Trevor, thank you again. Hopefully, you get some sleep, and welcome back to your break from school. So, I mean, and with all that time, you're gonna have free time. So, I don't know what you're doing tomorrow, but hopefully, it's relaxing time. And you can find Trevor
catching up on starts.
I was gonna say catching up on starts, and also you're appearing on WJR once or twice a week, right?
Yeah, they have me on every now and then. That's a cool thing. I've appeared on the Paul W. Smith morning show, the weekend wrap up sports show. I was so middays one time, and just whenever they need me, they call.
Awesome. All right, and then anything articles you want to pimp out before you get out of here?
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me at Hooth Trevor. That's where pretty much everything cycles through on Twitter. And then, like I said, I have a Joey Wentz article coming out soon. I told Brendon I would get it done a week and a half ago, and I got it done this morning. So I'm excited about that. I think it's going to turn out well. It's just about his increased fastball velocity. But guys, thank you seriously for having me on and increasing my Tiger street cred.
Yeah, thanks for spending the whole evening with us. This one went long, but it was good. There's lots of good stuff to talk about.
Yeah, over 2 hours. So we'll see you next week, everybody.